Hello everyone, welcome back to another preview of the F1 Grand Prix, the Austrian Grand Prix. We had some kind of fun in Canada, right? Not really. Canada is not a very fun Grand Prix. And this one might not be as fun either. And you will see why a little bit later. But first, as per usual, let's get to the quick news. There are so many news this weekend. Well, this one, it's an old one out of the North Life. We know that Tsunoda and Sebastian Vettel will be, at first, as I said, it was Ricardo, but now apparently it's going to be Yuki Tsunoda, the one that will be driving in the North Life. What else do we have? Sergio Perez missing media meeting. What does it mean? Does his Grand Prix have some risk of being out? No, actually, not really. He was feeling sick apparently on Wednesday night, and that's why he didn't attend the media meeting that he had scheduled for himself. However, he might be fit for the Friday FP1. At least that's what he said. I kind of remember people saying before, like drivers saying before, when asked if they faked to be sick to get out of media days and interviews and stuff, and all of them said yes. So is this one of those chances at the home of Red Bull? Well, if it is, shame on him. McLaren bringing some upgrades. Remember that at the beginning of the season we said after McLaren realized that their car was, to put it in short terms, shit, that they will be bringing 2 or 3 major package upgrades during the season, especially in summer, to try to improve their car's performance. We have seen a little bit of an improvement lately with the McLarens getting into that top 10, right? However, we have 5 teams in the top 10, and if nothing goes wrong, in theory, those 5 teams should be taking those top 10 positions, right? Red Bull, Aston Martin, Mercedes, Ferrari, and Alpine. McLaren is trying to fight there, and that's why they are bringing some major upgrade. Let's say the McLaren B spec, right? We saw some pictures. If you know it, you can check them online. They are everywhere. There's like some side pods that looks like they copied from Red Bull and Aston Martin. Well, not copied, but taken the concept from, right? Everybody, you cannot copy one thing because what works in one car cannot work in the other one. Engineering and stuff doesn't work so simple. Same like Red Bull took the concept of from Williams, and the Ferrari and all the ones are taking the concept from Red Bull for different parts of the car, right? So McLaren apparently is also doing something like that. Looks like the Red Bull concept in the side pod area is the concept to follow, proven by this. Will this improve the car? Let's see if this is the case. But I am kind of excited to see more teams getting into the fight, right? If we could see McLaren also joining the Alpines and Ferraris and stuff, it would be amazing. Can Norris and Piastri fight for important things? Get a podium? Get a victory? Who knows, right? Clash at Ferrari. Leclerc and Ferrari looks like they are getting more distant as the time goes on. It has been a very difficult season with many mistakes from the team, and looks like Leclerc's patience was running thin. Many rumors saying that he might be joining Mercedes instead of Hamilton, or going to Red Bull, or I don't know where, Aston Martin. I don't think Lawrence Stroll is going to fire his son, but who knows. When asked this Thursday, Leclerc said that contract talks were already on the way with Ferrari for going further than 2024. Remember, Sainz and Leclerc have a contract for 2024. And he said that the contracts were on the way. However, Frederic Vasseur, the team boss of Ferrari, said that this is not the case. They have not started talking. It's 2023. It's early still. There is more than 1 year left remaining. And it looks like Ferrari are not very, let's say, impatient to start talking about the future of Charles Leclerc. Let's not forget that Carlos Sainz also is finishing the contract next year, and he was also asked this week about the contract, and he said that there is no rush, hurry, or whatever. But his target is to at least know where he will be in 2025 by the winter of this year. So 1 year ahead. Is this the case of Leclerc as well? What's going to happen with Ferrari? If one of these two drivers leave, who is going to be brought in to fill in the gap? We will see as the silly season goes on in the summer. And of course, I will be also doing, as maybe July, August, when the silly season starts, I will be also opening that section in my YouTube channel. Ferrari bringing updates. Now, some teams are bringing updates. Everybody's bringing this and that, right? Ferrari is bringing some new front wing revised. Looks like this area will have some new things. As you can see, the black, like the rear wing, the front wing, they are kind of fixed things, not like before. So if you want to change something to adapt it to a racetrack, you need to change the whole thing. So having different specifications for different kind of races is kind of normal. So we know that already. The Vries in the eye of the storm. Helmut Marko was making some harsh statements about Nick De Vries. Looks like he's underperforming, especially Yuki Tsunoda is constantly ahead of him. And everybody had some kind of big expectations for Nick De Vries, right? Starting with me. I actually had high expectations for Nick De Vries. He's the F2 champion, FE champion. Looks like he was a fast driver. And at the beginning of the season, I thought that he was going to destroy Yuki Tsunoda, as something like Pierre Gasly did. However, this has not been the case. And, when you're underperforming, Red Bull is not the most patient team with their drivers. And they let you know about it in person and in the media. So Helmut Marko made it clear that De Vries had to pick up the pace or he might lose his seat, including the option of losing it this season, as it has been the case in many, many drivers in the Red Bull Academy, right? If he is gone, who will be brought in? Probably somebody from F2. Could be Daruvala, could be the many, many drivers that they have there. Maloney, Crawford, Hashdar. I mean, they have so many drivers in F2 and F3. But with the new regulations, you cannot jump or skip categories, right? You need some points for the license, super license to drive in the F1, so probably it should be somebody from F2 or somebody from the Resistance or whatever, right? So, yeah. And we also knew about the signing. Of course, last year, Mick Schumacher was one of the names that it was considered, but according to Helmut Marko, this was not even an option because Schumacher was a Ferrari Academy driver. He was linked to them as later they broke the contract. But anyway, and Marko said that De Vries could be the option after the Monza Grand Prix that we all saw what happened with Williams. He scored the points in the first Grand Prix that he had in F1. Of course, it was a very good race for the Williams, as Albon would have done probably. But looks like Christian Horner had his doubts with the performance of De Vries. And is he being proven right? We don't know. But let's check more about this. Rules revised for the sprint race. They call it SQ123, right? For the Saturday qualifying for the sprint race, which we have this weekend. Let's not forget. Another parade of cars in line. Before you were obliged, like every driver must use new medium tires for SQ1 and SQ2 and new ones for SQ3. What happened if you didn't have any of this? In theory, you were not allowed to take part of it on it, right? Or, as some teams realized in Baku, for example, if SQ3 you don't have soft tires, are you allowed to use intermediate tires in the dry conditions? This way, you were able to use these soft tires in some other part of the weekend, right? So this has been brought to the attention by the teams to the FIA, and the regulations have been revised. They call it, let's say it, clarified, right? The way it was written, it was not clear. So now they made it more clear, but also they changed something. Now in SQ3, you can use used soft tires as well to qualify instead of staying in the garage or going out with intermediate tires to have a lap time like 5 5 seconds slower than the usual one. Sorry. And the last big news that we saw this week is the AlphaTauri 1. The team is going to lose the name. It's not going to disappear, but the name is going to disappear. It's not going to be called AlphaTauri anymore. They didn't clarify what's going to be the name of it, but they said that there are going to be some structural changes from top to bottom in the team. Starting with the name, and as you can see here, we already knew that Laurent Mekies was going to leave Ferrari. For months already, it was kind of hinted that Franz Tost was going to step aside and Mekies was going to take care of the team. Well, now we know that Mekies is going to be brought in the team in a high position. We don't know if it's going to be as Franz Tost's replacement or some other thing. And also they will bring the General Secretary of the FIA, Mr. Bayer. When FIA employees or whatever, they leave these positions, they need to have a period of waiting of at least 6 months, if I'm not mistaken, unless they change the rule. Because this has happened before with Alpine, if I am not mistaken, when they brought somebody from the FIA as well, and they had to wait 6 months or more to have this person taking the job position that he was hired for. The other one is going to be the name of a team. Of course, they will plan to change the name and the way the team is going to function. From some years already, Red Bull tried to make AlphaTauri independent 100%, not having any information from the mother team. But looks like this is not going to work. This is not the model to follow, and you can see that Haas and other teams are not doing the same thing. So they abandoned the idea, and after considering selling the team, they decided to keep the team, and they will just make it a Red Bull B. They will share as much information as allowed with AlphaTauri. I don't know how this is going to be called. Looks like Red Bull has a sports brand or something like this, and they will call it as that one. And they will just make a Red Bull B as they used to do it in the old days, right? The team should have a big step forward next year. And let's see what's going to happen. Other teams for sure are going to complain, like in their days, McLaren, Alpine and others complained about it. But these are the rules, and this is the way to follow if you are a sister team in this case, right? AlphaTauri. I mean, Red Bull, they are... if the rules are written like this, they have all the rights to do it this way. So, the race. What can we expect of this weekend? You have the layout of the race in this picture. You can see that we have 3 DRS zones in the main straight, in the second straight, and in the third straight. It's a high-speed racetrack. Lap times should be around 1 minute 10, something like this. And as you can see, there's not so many corners, right? Only 10 corners. Big straight line, big straight line, big straight line with DRS, and then you have some, zones, but should be not a high downforce package as per my intuition should be. What does this mean? Teams such as Alexander Albon might have chances to score points here, as well as we saw, for example, in Canada with a big straight line, in Baku and other races with low downforce or with out of straight line speed, right? The weather forecast looks like it might be a rainy weekend until the Sunday. As you can see here, we have a 60% chance of raining for the FP1 and FP2. Temperatures around 24 degrees for the qualifying, 21 FP1 qualifying. Sprint shootout and sprint, we have a disqualifying. Let's not forget, for those who don't know it, it's going to be for the Sunday race. And on Saturday, we will have the SQ, as they call it, and the sprint race. FP2 and FP3 are going to disappear from the thing. And as you can see, it will be a rainy season. If it's not raining during the sprint race and the qualifying, it will rain, or it will be a wet tarmac. And for the Sunday race, we might not have rain. We might not have a wet tarmac. But let's see how the weekend develops, because sometimes, the wind changes and things change pretty quickly. And this is the information for the race. C3, C4, C5. These are the softest possible tires. And it's a racetrack that is not urban. Let's not forget, it's not a street racetrack. It's a permanent racetrack bought by Red Bull and held by Red Bull. Traction 2, well, you don't need a lot of traction, even though, let's see, we have a very tight corner here, and it's a, like I said, it's a fast racetrack, which means traction is not very important. Asphalt grip 3, it's used during the whole year for other championships as well, so should be kind of okay. Asphalt abrasion 4, looks like it's a very abrasive asphalt, such as similar as the one in Barcelona. So I'm guessing if they bring these kind of tires means that they hope they might be more than one stop, even though the pit lane is very long and you lose a lot of time by pitting. So let's see how that goes. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be a medium, hard, medium, something like this, or soft, hard, and try to hang until the end. Track Evolution 3, like I said, it's a used racetrack during the whole year, so you will not see a huge improvement gap like you might see in a street racetrack such as Baku or Monaco or Canada, for example, right? Tire stress 3, you don't have high speed corners, even though you have this one and this one, but for the rest should be kind of okay. Braking 3, you do not have a lot of like strong brakings, right? You have this one, you have this one perhaps, but the rest, as you know, it's not such as going from 8th gear to 1st gear. Perhaps only this one then. Lateral stress, like I said, not very high speed corners. You have 1 and 2 and 3, let's say. The rest are not so high speed. Maybe this one, but yeah. And downforce 3, like I said, it's a fast racetrack. You don't need high downforce to go through the race. So yeah, this is more or less what we should expect from the specifications. Now, the prediction as per usual. Now we have the sprint race. So sprint pole position, Max Verstappen. I think this year the pole positions, unless something happens, unless there's a penalty, unless there's a mechanical failure or a driver mistake from Verstappen, I think the pole positions are going to be kind of clear, except for those street race tracks from perhaps Sergio Perez, if he's inspired once again, can have a chance, like we saw in Saudi Arabia, for example, right? Anyway, and so the Saturday pole position should be for Max Verstappen, and the sprint race result should be as it follows. Of course, things can happen, driver accidents, mistakes, failures, blah blah blah. There should not be any pit stops during the sprint race, so I'm kind of expecting, based on experience, that the way they start is going to be more or less the way they finish. People don't take risks because fixing a car, apart from being expensive, is costly, and it might change something for the Sunday race, which is the important one, right? So I'm gonna expect Verstappen to have a kind of calm race. Sergio Perez, perhaps in the home of Red Bull, after the ear picking that he had from Helmut Marko, might perform well once again. And we will see Fernando Alonso, Russell, Hamilton, Sainz, Gasly, Leclerc, Ocon, and Stroll. Like I said, top 5 teams taking the top 10 positions. Why do I put Stroll 10th and Alonso 3rd? Because if you see what happened so far in the season, this is what you can expect from them. Charles Leclerc, I have to say, I was putting him before a little bit higher, but seeing how he's performing, it's no use. Looks like he already put his arms down. He's given up in this season, and he's not motivated. So I'm gonna guess it's gonna be something like this. The Mercedes are ahead of the Ferraris, the Aston Martins are ahead of the Ferraris as well, well, at least the one from Fernando Alonso. So let's see if this is gonna be the way it's gonna be on Saturday. And for Sunday race, I'm gonna guess it's gonna be something like this as well. Max Verstappen with the pole position, and then for the main race, let's call it, we will have something like this. Hamilton, Alonso, Russell, something similar that was going to be happening in Canada. Perez, Sainz, Gasly, Leclerc, Stroll, and the surprise that sometimes I like to put, Alexander Albon. Like I said, big straight lines are the very good friends of the Williams. So can he repeat what happened in Canada once again? Or what happened in other races? I am gonna guess something can happen here. Like you also see some accidents in like the second corner, that tight hairpin where people might try to dive bomb and try to overtake. Accidents, cars on fire, whatever. Safety cars. So I'm gonna guess that could be the mixed position. Perhaps the McLarens could be there as well with a Spec B. Let's see. Anything that is even close to the reality is a coincidence. So, as usual, take it easy and enjoy the weekend. Could be an interesting Grand Prix. Let's see. And see you, as per usual, after either the sprint race, either after the main race, analyzing a little bit and giving some notes. So, yeah, see you.